name is Kathy Roby. I'm from the Commission on Aging and Persons with Disabilities. And just in case, if you didn't see me hobbling in, I know a lot about what I'm talking about. I've sort of been there, done that for the last 10 years. So it's important to me. I'm at home, I have a support system, but sometimes I need help too. And I've learned where to find it. I'm a retired nurse, so sort of retired, and I've been in community health, home health, for better than 40 years. So I know about the resources, and I know where you can find them. And trust me, some of the best resources are hiding from you. So I'm here to talk about something that's very important to those of us who woke up one morning to suddenly find we were of a certain age. And suddenly, our lives are feeling very different than they used to be. But we all know what we really want to do is to stay right here in our own little space where I know where everything is. I know how my things work. I eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. I do what I want, except for those mornings when I wake up and I can't. Because when we do find ourselves of a certain age, whatever that age might be, it's just not as easy as it used to be. Think about driving. All of a sudden, it's just not second nature like it used to be. You know, those kids just come right out of nowhere. And that stop sign, I don't remember it being there. And driving at night, when did those lights get all those funny big circles around them? I know, you're laughing. I know, I've seen those things. They fixed the cataracts, didn't fix those damn circles around the lights. They're still there. And you know what? Our balance isn't what it used to be. Sometimes I swear the floor moves. I swear it does. And then, you know, there's those kitties in the corner and you just need that little vacuum. So you open up the closet, and after you find it, your arms aren't quite strong enough to push it around the way they used to be. And then there's that laundry. Whose bright idea was it to put the washer in the basement? Because getting it up and down those stairs, and then into the bedroom, and then into the drawers, well, hell, maybe our teenagers were right. I'll just take them out of the basket. And you know, Thanksgiving's coming. And there's that dish you inherited from your grandmother. And it's just perfect for the turkey. But whose bright idea was it to put it up on the second shelf? Certainly wasn't mine, and now that I've dragged the step stool across the room and put it up against the lower cabinet, I'm looking at it, I'm standing here looking at it with my cane in my hand, thinking, if I go up to the top step on that stair, I can reach that dish, but then what am I going to do with it? I have to bend over on the step stool, lean over and put it down on the counter, and then get me down the 2 steps, and then discover I forgot to shut the cabinet. Things just aren't as easy as they used to be. And you know, our memory, that little bugger, took off on me. The phone rings, I go, hello. Oh, I know this voice, but oh my God, who is it? And how do they relate to me? And what appointment are you talking about that you said I should have been there a half hour ago? Our memory's just not the reliable resource it used to be. And what about our friends who used to help us manage those issues? Who called to remind us about an appointment, who offered to drive us? The friends who were just always there. Well, they're either in the same boat we are, or they got sick, or God forbid, they're just not here any longer. And if that's true, that it's happening to all of us, why is it still such a problem for all of us? When we reach that certain age, there's so many things that can go wrong. And when they do, you can suddenly find yourself being told by your family, by your neighbor, by the people you thought were your friends, You know, it's really not safe for you to be in that house alone anymore. Or you really can't take care of him or her by yourself anymore. You just can't do it. You really should move. You know, get yourself one of those little apartments in the senior housing. Yeah, where the waiting list is 2 years long? Sure, I'll just move next week after I wait 2 years. Or you could move into an assisted living. Well, yes, but I have to give up my privacy. Suddenly everybody's got an opinion. And the worst one of all is when they say, well, you know, maybe you should consider a nice home. Yeah. So what are some of these things that can suddenly turn your life upside down? And what can you do about them to help you stay home? Let's talk about the 4 biggest things that can get in your way. First and most important is safety in the house. Falls, with or without a significant injury, are one of the greatest causes of a senior being forced to make an unwanted, unplanned change. What causes you to fall? Clutter. You know that rug, that floor, it really isn't moving. It was that magazine you dropped next to your favorite chair that landed on the floor, but not right next to the chair. And when you walked across the room, your foot hit it and boom, there you are, sitting in the middle of the living room floor, wondering how in God's name you're going to reach that phone to get help because you can't get up. Maybe you broke a hip. I know what I did. I tripped over a door sill and I broke my ankle. I broke 5 bones in my foot. Oh, it was great fun. Watching it, sitting on the floor, watching it swell up like a balloon. Great fun. So safety, thinking about your own home. Let's take just 1 minute. Close your eyes. Picture your living room. Is there clutter in there? Is there a stack of magazines somewhere? Is there something on the floor? What about your stairs? Did you put those things on the stairs you meant to take up or take down? Those are the ones that are going to get you. They're just sitting there waiting for a toe that was put in the wrong place, and they moved, and you really moved down on that floor where something can easily get broken, carpet or not. So think about that. Move the clutter, get rid of things you don't need, put everything away. Remember when we told our kids that? There's a place for everything and everything should be in its place. I don't know about you, as old as I am, my mother's still in here somewhere. And every time I put something down and think, oh, I'll put it away later, I can hear her. No, you won't. Pick that up and put it away so that I don't drop things and I don't fall again. And then there's safety. Again, think about your home. Are there little things that need repairing? You got a loose railing on your stairs, coming in from outside, coming in from the garage, going up or down from your main floor to the basement or the second floor if you still sleep upstairs. Think about that. Those loose railings could quite literally be the death of you. It's not just a saying, it can happen. So think about those things. What about your front and rear doors? Are they secure? Do you have locks? Are you using those locks? It's winter. We keep the hard doors closed to keep the cold air out. But you should have your screen or storm door locked. You need a peephole. Somebody comes a knocking, and believe me, I don't think a day goes by in our neighborhood when somebody isn't there trying to sell me something. But my screen doors are always locked. Why? Because I'm too short to see through the peephole. And so I go in the living room and I look out. And if I don't know them, they're not getting anything. I'm not opening up. You just can't. If you do open it up, make sure your storms are locked. If it's not locked, what's to prevent them from pulling it open and walking right in? You can't stop them. Are you really strong enough to stop them? Don't keep a lot of cash in your house, and make sure people around you know when you're home and when you're not home. Have a neighbor you can rely on, who's pretty comfortable with your routine. I have one next door. She's 92. However, she knows more about the comings and goings in our neighborhood than anybody. So when we go away, we always just tell her up front, we're going away for the weekend, I'm going to be away for the day, because otherwise, when I come home, I got at least 3 messages, where are you? But that's not bad. It's important, because otherwise, you could be on the floor a long time. What about loneliness? Look at all of you that are here. And I'll bet every single one of you knows somebody who's sitting at home, struggling because they really can't read the paper, and the news scares them silly, so they sit home. Why not? Call them up. Come on, come with me. I'm going to see a program. I'm going to go play cards. I don't play cards. That's okay. You just sit next to me and we can talk. Reach out to somebody. The loss of companionship, the loss of a spouse, friends that get sick or die, loss of family to distance, to estrangement, results in somebody who's alone. And someone who's alone too much can suddenly become very confused. Days run together, time runs together. When somebody does call, they don't remember who they are. Did you eat today? Oh yeah, I think. Because the hours run together and they don't remember. So reach out to someone. Join the book club at the library. It's free. Take the transportation and go. It's important. Reach out, connect to someone. The most critical thing that prevents us from being safe at home is fear and shame. It's really embarrassing to admit the need for assistance. When I first fell after I had my knee replaced, and I fell and destroyed his handiwork, and then they told me they couldn't fix it, I was positively mortified. I am about as independent as they come. It was no accident that I raised a child whose first 2 words were not mommy and daddy, but me do. I don't know where she got that, but she did. And it took me months to realize there was nothing wrong when I got to one of those big heavy doors at a store or the library, anything that didn't have an automatic door. There's nothing wrong with saying to someone, excuse me, could you just grab that door for me? Because I can't manage the door and this, because I'll be off balance and then we'll have a bigger problem. There's no shame in that. But we are ashamed. We should still be independent. Because if we are not, somebody's going to say, well, you really can't stay in that house alone. You might fall down. Well, yeah, I might get the flu too, but I got a flu shot and I use my cane. We have to not be afraid to ask for help for the small things, because doing that enables us to stay safe at home. But I really want to be independent. You couldn't have guessed that, right? I am not going to be some shriveled up, lonely, forgotten old person sitting in a rocker in a corner. And by the way, as nice as rockers are, they're not the safest chair to get out of. But where I live and how I live, these are your decisions to make for you. If you have a spouse, they're a community decision you should be making between the 2 of you, taking the best interests of both of you in mind. In order to make a good decision, you really need to know what your choices are and how you can make the best decision. So let's look at the options. I can stay in my current home, with or without some kind of services to help me stay there. I could relocate to a senior-focused community, with or without services of some kind, because it is most likely going to have multiple handicapped, adapted, or accessible apartments. You could relocate to an assisted living community. Even there, with or without some additional services, you might need them. Or, as a last resort, one or both of you might need placement in a skilled facility. So if those are your options, how do you decide which one is the right one for you? There are things that are available to you to make it possible to be at home. We know there are at least 4 different options for your living arrangements. Each one of them might need one or more of those kinds of services. So now let's take a look at what those are. We talked about the safety issue, tightening up railings on stairs, fixing things that are broken. One of the best things I did, and you want to think about this, how high is the step for you to get into your front or back door? If it's more than 6 inches, a day will come when you're going to find that raising your leg up there, and even with something to hold on to, it's hard to pull yourself up that one step. So, and this is not an advertisement. There are lots of different places where you can find it. I found a small, fold-up, collapsible step, holds up to 250 pounds, and you can get that at Amazon for $14.99. And now you can get in and out of that step. I've got 3 of them. I have one in each car, one in my bag that I carry around when we travel or go anywhere. I'm not getting caught standing outside somebody's house going, I can't get up that step, because now I have that. If you find yourself a handyman chore service, you can look online at Next Door Neighbor, look in the Windsor Journal, look in the Journal Inquirer, look on the board here, talk to social services. Handyman chore can do a lot of things for you. They can rake those leaves that just keep falling. They can move the snow off your sidewalk and out of your driveway. They can make those small repairs that make all the difference in your world. Then there's something they call the instrument activities of daily living. So what's an instrumental activity? It's the things we do without thinking about. We go grocery shopping. We carry the bags in, we unpack them, we put them away, and then we make meals. We do meal preparation. We do the dishes after we eat. Wash, dry, load the dishwasher, put them away. But remember, there are those days when bending into the dishwasher, reaching up to the shelf to put them away, it's not as easy as it was. Laundry, got to go up down to that washing machine that we foolishly put in the basement. And then there's light housekeeping, changing sheets, making the bed. There is nothing that makes a better start to your day than a nice, tight, neat bed, right? I personally have never left the house since I was 12 without making sure my bed was made. My mother still lives here. She lived in my house for 11 years. She still lives in my head. You will not leave this house till your bed is made, your room is clean, because the firemen are going to laugh at you, right? Who hasn't heard that one? But those instrumental activities, they make or break your day. And when they get too hard to do, it's a problem. Regular activities of daily living. We don't think twice, do we, about getting up out of that chair, going to the men's room or the ladies' room outside the door? How many of you looked at the chair you picked to sit in to make sure it had arms? Because when you go to get up, all of a sudden, some days your knees just go, I don't think so. And if you're in a chair without arms, it's not funny. And then there's bathing, taking a shower. If you don't have a shower without a tub, you got to get over the side of that tub. And what are you holding on to while you're trying to lift your leg over that side of the tub? What are you holding on to? Maybe you need a bar installed. Maybe you need one of those that clamps on the side of the tub so you can step over. Maybe you need a seat in the tub. Can you wash your own hair? There are days, my hair comes down to there somewhere. There are days when I am sorely tempted to just shave it all off. because washing 2 feet of hair is no picnic, not anymore. So toileting, bathing, just walking around the house, transferring from chairs up and down off the sofa, these are things that are getting a little harder every day. A handyman chore is best located, as I said, by accessing the resources here, looking online at Next Door Neighbor. But for those other things, cleaning up around the house, hands-on assistance, those are things that you're going to get from a homemaker companion provider. And we're going to talk more about the 2 classes of providers. Homemaker companion that are registered and overseen by the Department of Consumer Protection. But take that word oversight with about a pound of salt. The Department of Public Health is responsible for overseeing any provider with a license. That's a different story. That was my world. I worked in that world. They have a lot of rules, and they're very important. But in that homemaker companion personal care aid world, those people come from these providers. They can come to you in your home anywhere from a minimum of 2 to 4 hours a day, from 1 day a week to up to every day, depending on what you need and what you want and what you can afford. We'll talk about who sometimes can help you pay for those too. A PCA, a personal care aide, who can do some limited hands-on care, can also go with you to and from the doctor, take you to the grocery store, the drugstore, if you're able to get around while you're there. And they too can come 2 to 4 hours a day, 1 to 7 days a week. But finding the right provider is not as easy as it sounds. And that's where we get to the crux of the matter today. How do you find the right provider? How do you know this is going to be safe for you? Because you're letting a stranger into your house. So you want to know a little bit more about them and a little bit more about the company that's going to provide them for you, right? It's still very much a wild, wild west out there. I know that our legislators had our best interests in mind when they came up with the regulations, the requirement for a certificate from the Consumer Protection Department for the homemaker companion PCA world. They had our best interest in mind. The problem is, there's an awful, right now, no lie, there are 750 homemaker companion provider companies in Connecticut. 750. And then there's probably another 250 operating out of their breezeway, their empty 3rd bedroom, their basement, or their car. They advertise, you call them up, they sound perfectly wonderful. Oh, I can get somebody out there tomorrow, no problem, don't worry. Do you do a background check? Oh yeah, I really do. Uh-huh. Can I see it? Did they do it? Your guess is as good as mine. Because if they were not certified by the Department of Consumer Protection and are not registered there, nobody is looking over their shoulder to make sure that they really did do background checks, health checks, TB testing, that they have an I-9, that they're allowed to work in the United States and in Connecticut. Nobody's checking on those people. So it really is a wild, wild west. And now we're going to talk about how you protect yourself. The first order of business is that you do really need to be able to go online or have somebody sit with you and go online to the Department of Consumer Protection's website. On that website, you will find a list. You can sort by those within 5 or 10 miles of your residence, your town. So you put in 06095 and they give you a list. Here they are. There's going to be like 25, 50 of them who all say they can send somebody to Windsor. Having looked at that, you then want to say, okay, so who on this list is over here on the other part of the website where the complaints are? Who's had a complaint filed against them? Who's been investigated? Once you've eliminated those, then go back and pick 3 or 4. Now start dialing. Also check the Better Business Bureau for complaints. Ask around of your friends if they've ever used any of these companies. Then you start calling them. And you're going to ask some very specific questions. What are you going to ask? Did you do a criminal background check? Are you willing to share whether or not this person passed or had any other issues? Did you do a motor vehicle check? This matters if you're going to let them drive your car or you're going to get in their car. All of the agencies, the licensed kind that I worked in or supervised, we always checked the motor vehicle department. If they had traffic violations, drunk driving, speeding, accidents within the preceding 3 to 5 years, we didn't hire them. Because I'm not letting them take a client of mine in their car or drive a client's car when they have a track record. So ask that question. What about a physical? Did they have a full physical? Are they capable of changing a bed, of carrying a laundry basket, of bringing my groceries into the house and putting them away? Ask that question. Did you do a TB test? It's very important. It's especially important if the caregiver you're looking to hire came from the islands where they do a BCG test. Those people need a chest x-ray to prove to you that they are not a dormant carrier of TB, which is about the last thing you want to have them give you for Christmas. Those are the questions you need to be asking. Then we get down to the nitty-gritty. How much? Because if you decide to hire them, you want a contract. You want a piece of paper with a signature from the company and you that says, I am getting a homemaker companion who will be able to drive. I'm paying this much per hour. They are coming for 4 hours every Tuesday and 3 hours every Friday. You want it spelled out before you sign it. And you want a right of interview that you don't pay for, that they will bring the person into your home with the supervisor to introduce you so you can show them around, see what they're going to be doing, and you can be sure that you are going to be able to get along with this person and feel comfortable having them in your home. So what if you need more than that? What if you're really struggling to remember your medications? What if you really need somebody to physically, with hands-on, help you or your spouse to shower? Maybe you have a small open area that you can't quite reach or see. Toes are the biggest offenders. You need a certified home health aide, and that person is going to come from a licensed agency that is monitored through the Department of Public Health. So again, if you aren't able to do this, get somebody who can help you. Sit at the computer, go to the Department of Public Health website, and make sure you look it up. There too, you can find a list of the agencies. You can see who covers Windsor. And you know, things have really changed. When I first went into community health, I worked in East Hartford, and we stopped dead at the Glastonbury line, at the Manchester line, at the South Windsor town line. We didn't go in other towns. It was just us. Now, when you look to see who covers 06095, there's at least 10 of them. So again, make a list, check on the DPH website to see, have any of these agencies had a bad survey? Because the Department of Public Health is in their house, in their face every 2 years. And if a client makes a complaint, they are there within 24 hours. I know, I've been on the receiving end. So they do check everything. And they are the ones responsible for keeping the providers on the straight and narrow. And they do a pretty good job of it. So you want to really check that website. If you decide to go with that, your doctor will make a referral, although you can refer yourself. And a nurse will come out to your house, and you get to ask them all the same questions you would have asked of one of those registered homemaker companion PCA providers. So this all sounds really confusing, right? And stressful and difficult, trying to figure out who's going to be the best fit for me. There is a discipline called a case manager or a care manager. And in our age group, most of people over 55 these days have at least heard of or had the opportunity to get long-term care insurance. Especially through AARP, it's very reasonable. And the long-term care policies offer that option, and they pay for it. And the role of that case manager, care manager, is to act as your interpreter between what you need and that big bad world of all those caregivers and different kinds of caregivers and what they can and cannot do. And that's what makes the difference. The Area Agency on Aging, based in Hartford, covers all of Hartford County. They too offer care management. There's a company called Connecticut Community Care Incorporated. If you're going online, just put in all capitals, CCCI. They're based in Bristol, but they have offices all over the state. They do a lot of work here in town. You can call them, talk to them about a case manager, and they can help you to navigate the system. And if you need to fill out applications to get financial assistance, which is where we're going next, because money is always the big question, they will help you fill out the forms. Because at this point, I know I felt that way when I was just a very young nurse trying to learn this system. I kept tripping over all these rules, and I kept finding, oh, there's another program for that? And I never really quite understood. So it's natural to feel frustrated and confused. Am I going to have to pay for all of this out of my pocket? My budget for the month is not that big. But there are programs available. Where are they? Who pays for what? How do I find them? How do I get into them? That's what matters. The handout that I gave you that we will go through at the end breaks them all down, tells you who pays for what, and that is going to be very important because paying out of your pocket can really be a killer. But if either you or your spouse completed military service, find what is likely to become the most important piece of paper you own. They're DD-214. They're discharge papers. Okay, how many of you have seen one? Anybody? Somebody? Go look for it. Find out. Maybe you were in the service before I met you. Were you? Did you come out in good standing? Because that matters. And right now, if you went to the VA website, what you will find on the far right-hand side is a list of 18 different programs that are available to veterans. They are still funded and still active. So this is a critical resource that you cannot ignore. If you or your spouse were in the service, find that DD-214. If you can't find it, call the VA, they will help you. When I went to get my mother onto one of the programs the VA offers called the Aid and Assistance Program, we couldn't find my father's DD-214. We couldn't find that paper anywhere. She kept saying, well, I know he had something. Yeah, he did have something. He had a letter. Came from the VA that said, well, you know your DD-214 you requested? It got burned up in a fire in Virginia. Oops. So we're sending you this letter. This will act in its place, and it says you were discharged in good standing and you served from this date to this date. I took that paper. I filled out the form. I got her assigned a caseworker from the VA. And lo and behold, after a small wait that Senator Blumenthal managed to cut short, we were awarded aid and assistance for her. Now, my dad was at the tail end of World War II. He served 3 months, during which time he managed to get himself shot up in a POW camp. 3 months, that's all it took. Man needed to learn to duck. But that gave her, 15 years ago, it gave her $1,800 a month. And as you move forward in the Korean War, Vietnam, Desert Storm, you name it, any designated conflict, the ticket goes up. So that the last time I looked, I have a friend, classmate from school. She and her husband was in Vietnam, did 2 tours, got himself liberally Agent Oranged, and now they both have cancer. And the VA, through aid and assistance, which I helped them get, is now giving them a 24-hour live-in. And there are medications, and the chemotherapy, and you name it. And there they are, in their own home. So please don't ignore this resource. It's critical. At least 18 different programs are listed on that website. There are other special programs available to you. One of these is called the Home and Community-Based Services Waiver. It's called a waiver because the purpose behind this is to enable you to stay out of a facility. What the law says is if you only qualify for Medicaid after you've gone into a facility, spent all your money in 3 to 5 months, we'll let you go in this waiver program instead. And we'll put together a package of services that is equal to or less than 60% of a month in a facility. You have any idea what a month in a nursing home, an average nursing home, a 3-star out of 5 nursing home is going to cost you? $12,000 in Connecticut. That's the current average rate for a 3-star out of 5. 60% of that, $7,000, could be spent to keep you at home if you qualify for the home and community-based waiver. You can get a considerable amount of PCA service for that, of a homemaker, of transportation, of meds, of a lifeline. I mean, aside from we all made fun of Mrs. Fletcher who fell and couldn't get up, it makes a difference to know you have a lifeline, to know you have a medication dispenser. I don't know if you've ever seen one of them. They are the coolest thing since cooked rice, let me tell you. It's a box, about, 6 inches high, foot long, can take up to 2 weeks, up to 4 times a day. It's got a voice and a flashing light, and it's not AI. It's pre-programmed. You put your pills in there, or the nurse puts them in there for you, or your daughter puts them in there for you. Somebody puts them in there correctly. 7 o'clock in the morning, you're sitting there, hunched over your coffee, and this red light flashes at you on the table. And a voice says, "Please take your 7 a.m. pills." And clunk, they fall in the little drawer. You pull out the little drawer, take your pills out, and the weight of the pills coming out and going on the table so you can take them, when you shut the drawer, the light goes off. And the little voice says, "Thank you." I'm telling you, it's the neatest thing. But renting that guy is going to cost you $100 a month. So, home and community-based waiver covers that machine. Covers the lifeline, covers the transportation, covers the meds being delivered, covers the homemaker, covers the handyman. It's an amazing program, but you have to qualify. And so that's where You call CCCI, you call the Area Agency on Aging, you ask for a caseworker, and you ask for help to fill out the paperwork. There's another new program that they have fairly recently, I would say about 5 years now. They've come up with this program that's called Adult Family Living or Adult Foster Care. If you've never heard of it, what it has done is it has taken the same kind of funding that would have had to pay $12,000 a month, and it says, well, let's look at what you need in terms of a level of help. Then we're going to ask you, do you have a family member or someone you know and trust that can move in and live with you? That person's going to be responsible for the homemaker, companion, personal care assistant tasks that you might need. And instead of you paying them, we are going to pay for it through that waiver program called Adult Foster or Adult Family Living. Adult Family Living is when you pick a family member, a relative, a friend that then has to go through a provider company, and they will give you a list to pick from, because they're going to have to get through a background check, a physical, a TB test, etc. The money will go to the agency, and the agency will cut them a check, taking taxes out, so that everything is open and above board. But you've now got 24-hour in your home with somebody you know. With adult foster, a lot of us, my only family lives in Montana, Colorado, and Arizona. I don't see them coming back to Windsor to do this. So I would have to use adult foster, which means you call the caseworker, they call an agency, and the agency finds you a caregiver that you get to interview and decide, yeah, I can do that. And then they move in, and they're Let me give you an example. I still do some consulting work. So an agency that I've been working with for a number of years registered with the Department of Social Services to become a provider. They got a referral. There was a lady who was 96 years old, wanted desperately to get out of the facility she was in. She still owned a house, and she was at the point where sell the house, because you're going to have the money to stay in the facility. So she pushed and pushed and pushed and finally got accepted into the adult foster program. So home Elizabeth came to her little tiny 2-bedroom cape in the south end of Hartford. The adult foster program and the home and community-based waiver program, because they were taking her out of that $12,000 a month bill, they agreed to put in an alarm system because it was the south end of Hartford, and they agreed to put a ramp on the front of the house. They put in a hospital bed because she hadn't walked in 3 months. So that's the level she came home at, bedbound. The lady moved in to be her adult foster. The next time I reviewed that chart, 60 days later, Elizabeth was sitting in her breezeway in her wheelchair enjoying the sun. 2 months later, she was outside on the lawn under the tree, still in the wheelchair. By the time she'd been home for a year, she was walking and very happy. And the live-in was taking her to the senior center for 2 hours, once or twice a week. She lived at home for 5 more years before she died, in her own bed. The program works, and it's an amazing thing to see. So I strongly recommend you look at case management and see if there is someone who can help you to manage these kinds of programs, to get a case manager, to make sure that you can stay at home if that's where you really want to be. You want to look around your house. Look at your doors. They have round knobs. My arthritic fingers don't do round. I had every one of them taken off, and I had levers put on the doors. For $250 a door, it was worth it. You want to think about what else you need. Will you eventually have to have a bedroom on the first floor? Think about that. When you leave here today, go home. Walk around your house. Look at the things you maybe can still do, but you know are going to be problematic sooner or later. So now we know a lot more about what's out there to help us, and maybe more about how to find the different kinds of services. But you're still not really sure what you should do next. You know, I get all kinds of opinions. My friends, my neighbors, my family, everybody's got an opinion. I know they mean well, but what should happen next? My family keeps telling me I should really think about moving. Maybe they just want my house. You know, we all have ulterior motives. But first, you want to remember they really are your family, and they are your friends, and they do care about you. But more important than that, remember this: it's your decision. Don't let other people make it for you. It's your decision. So how are you going to make an informed decision? I suggest you go home, and now this is my particular hang-up. Again, my daughter, whose ears are burning right now, would tell you my mother is the queen of the list makers. That poor kid, when she was 10, woke up on a day off from school and found a list taped on her door. I mean, she was 10, right? Top of the list. Clean this mess. But making a list can be your best friend. Make a list over here. These are the things that I know I can still do safely today. Over here, these are the things I really should have help with. Down here, the things I shouldn't be doing at all. Now you've got a list. On the back side, make a list of all the things that need to be repaired, changed, added, or fixed. Got safety locks? Have you got a tight railing? Is your screen door safe? Is there a window that's easy to jimmy because it won't shut completely or open completely? Make a list of the repairs that need to be done. And then finally, find yourself an objective advocate to help you. If you've reached out to the VA, Area Agency on Aging, or CCCI, and gotten a case manager, that's the person you want. Because their mission is to keep you home safely. So ask them to help you. Ask them to go through that list with you. And then after you've done that, now you need to make another list. What kind of resources do you have? Have you reached out to the VA? Do you have access to programs that they offer? Do you have a long-term care policy? Do you have other assets that you can tap? Make a list of those resources, and then schedule a meeting. Bring your family, whoever wants to be there, by phone, by computer, in person, with your advocate, and sit around the kitchen table. Show them your list, and then tell them, I called, I have this, I can get these from the VA, I talked to Area Agency on Aging, and when I need a respite, because they're going to send somebody to sit with your mom or your dad so that I can go to the store. I called CCCI and we qualify for this program and somebody's coming out to help me get it set up. You talk about what you need, how you think you want to move forward, using either a homemaker PCA agency, a licensed medical agency, a neighbor handyman, having the repairs or the physical changes made to your house. But with a concrete plan and some resources, knowing what's out there that you can access, you can be safe at home. So now let's take a quick look at that grid sheet. Linda, could you bring me one? Let me borrow yours. I don't have one. Oh, no, I have one here. Yep, let me get one. I gave mine away. Okay, so let's look at this grid sheet that says in-home services on it. This is a summary of what you can expect to happen when you contact a provider and what kind of a provider you might need. The types of services are listed across the top. There are 4, and these are the most common ones people are looking for. So who oversees them? Who keeps them on the straight and narrow? The first three: handyman chore, homemaker companion, personal care aide. These are unlicensed, unregulated. They go under the Department of Consumer Protection, who evaluates their personnel policies, their oversight, and gives them a certificate to operate. But remember, at least 25% of the ones you hear about never bothered to call the consumer protection people. The types of service they can give you are the center column. Handyman chore people do light lawn care. They rake leaves, shovel snow, do light repairs around your house. They're not going to come out and rip out a tub and install a shower. That's not what they do. Homemaker companions do homemaking, grocery shopping, laundry, and meal preparation, as in, I'm here today, I make tonight's, and I'll make 2 meals forward. Maybe more than that if they're there longer. Depends on how long they're there and what you had them buy. PCAs do personal care, a shower, a tub bath, wash your hair. They also do grocery shopping, meal prep, and they can remind you to take your medication. They cannot, by law, open the med box you pre-poured or your family member pre-poured and put it on the table and say, take those. They can say, did you take your pills this morning? Because it's still got them in there, but they cannot touch it. If they do, they are outside their job description by the state rules, and they're not supposed to be doing that. It's not safe. They've not been taught how. A home health aide, on the other hand, has had 100 hours of training compared to 35 to 40, if they have had that, for the PCA. They are taught to help people bathe who need physical assistance in and out of the tub or shower. They are taught to help you continue to do those exercises that after you had that knee or hip replaced, you did as long as the therapist was coming. And if you're anything like my mother, the therapist said, well, Julie, this is the last day I'm coming. And my mother said, oh, I'm going to miss you. Mary left the house. My mother picked up the exercises and said, well, that's the end of that. Right in the trash. But a home health aide is going to make sure you keep doing them. Because if you keep doing them, you'll get stronger and more stable and better. Home health aides can assist you with your medication self-administration. A home health aide can open the med reminder, pour them out on a plate, hand you the juice, and stand over you while you take them. Because people forget. You will notice that all the different disciplines, if they come through a provider agency, have a background check and a health check, including a TB test, and that background check must include a criminal background check back 5 years. Supervision, however, can be a little hit or miss. If the handyman chore, homemaker companion, or PCA comes from an agency that is registered with Consumer Protection, the only ongoing supervision is what you do every day in your home of what they're doing for you. Otherwise, the provider agency is hopefully going to remember to pick up the phone and call you every 3 to 6 months and say, so how's it going? And that's all. That's all they're going to do. On the other hand, if you get an aide, a certified home health aide from a medical agency under Department of Public Health, a registered nurse is going to physically be present in your home, watching the aide give you a bath to make sure they're doing it properly, and interviewing you to find out if you're truly satisfied. That makes a big difference. There's a far cry between, hello, how's everything going? And, hi, I'm here to supervise Jane the aide. So who pays the bill? That's the critical question, isn't it? The VA, under aid and assistance, private pay, and the special Medicaid programs, the home and community-based waiver, and adult foster will pay for handyman chore, homemaker companion, and a personal care aide. Traditional Medicaid, traditional Medicare, and no matter what they tell you, the Medicare Advantage plans will not pay for a handyman chore, a homemaker companion, or a PCA. They will not. A home health aide is paid for under Medicare, Medicaid, and long-term care insurance, and to a very limited extent under the Medicare Advantage plans. So that's how you get it paid for. It's not easy. I've been in home health, as I said, for almost 40 years. I still have my finger in. I'm still working with 3 providers, helping them stay on the straight and narrow so DPH doesn't come to bother their house. I've spent a lot of time talking to friends, talking to neighbors, helping them figure out how to stay at home. I hope this has been helpful. I've sort of made this my personal crusade, that people should have the right to stay home if they can manage it. If you have questions, I'm going to ask you all to do me a favor. I'm getting a little tired leaning on the podium. I may have to come and sit down. But if you have questions, let's start with that. Does anybody have an urgent question they want to start with? Or no? I'm going to get off that easy, really? That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to go and sit right here next to this gentleman. If you'd rather just come up and talk to me that way, that's fine. But I hope this has been helpful.